Champions aren't just born on the kart track. At SimShop, we deliver professional grade simulators with the best performance to price ratio in the industry. Founded by racers who understand what you need, our SimMagic and Moza equipment is powerful enough for the pros, yet affordable for everyone. With unmatched customer support and a thriving community, we're your racing partner. Visit simshop.com today.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
So in motorsport, every detail matters, but we need to try to avoid using expensive and fragile sensors. So I'm gonna show you how we do it. So this is a comparison between the sensor, pink curve, and the accelerometer in blue. So we can read how hard the driver is applying the brake and how easy he's modulating his release in order to understand how the driver's braking. The sensor costs hundreds of dollars and the accelerometer is already in your dash, so you don't need to buy anything.
If you want to learn more about data analysis, you can sign up on our website right now and join the online course today.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
One thing that is really nice about the Micron 6 is with this new IAME platform, now they put an embedded channel with the steering wheel angle. This channel is really nice to use if you're trying to understand how the drivers are behaving through the corners, if it's oversteering, understeering. But you need to be careful. Because we're measuring this at 100 times per second, when you look on the data, it's very, very noisy. So when you look on the data, we have here the steering wheel angle raw output in blue, and then we have to apply a filter to treat this data, and then that's the filter in red.
If you want to learn more about data analysis, you can sign up on our website right now and join the online course today.
'26 Cup Kart South Series, February 20th through 22nd at Finish Line Karting, March 20th through 22nd at Daytona International Speedway, April 24th through 26th at Music City Karting, and May 29th through 31st at Bushnell Motorsports Park.
Cat food marketing. $9.99 a month.
Dude, Caleb, wake up. Dude, we're live in 5 minutes. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing?
Dude, I'm so sorry. Xander had me in a cat food marketing meeting till like 2 a.m. last night.
Come on, man.
Do you have anything I can drink?
Dude, I got the perfect thing for you. Perico, it's a healthy energy drink alternative.
Perico, non-GMO, gluten-free, kosher, magnesium, B12, B6,
yeah, it's good.
B5, biotin, and 0 sugar? Pericazo! Try Perico, made with natural ingredients, organic caffeine, and supports your metabolism. Try the new official energy drink of Kart Chaser.
We all know that drivers, they learn faster when it's visually shown to them side by side what's the difference, right? So with the Smarty Can, every time we put on the data, we're able to see the drivers side by side on the track. So here, for example, you can see that Diego is taking a curb and our other driver's not. You see that one driver's oversteering and the other driver's pretty much straight coming out of the corner. By showing this to them, they're able to absorb faster. And you can even play the videos simultaneously so they can see how they're performing through the track.
If you want to learn more about data analysis, you can sign up on my website right now. Enjoy the online course today.
Are you stuck with your kart racing? Not sure the ideal kart setup? Or going to a track for the first time? Well, Kart Class has the answers for you. Our online portal has a wealth of experience and knowledge to help your kart racing. From kart setup advice to track guides that are targeted specifically to your circuit, or the driver coaching aspects with mindset, racecraft and driving techniques. If you want to take your karting to the next level, visit us at kartclass.com.
Hi, I'm Jackson with Alpha Race Hub. Alpha is an all-in-one motorsports software solution that can solve all the software problems you need for your track, facility, or series. Alpha can cover all your software bases, from online registration, digital e-waivers, a proprietary timing and scoring software, incident management, automated points tabulation, tire and barcode scanning. We even have our own mobile timing app and rental kart activity management software. If you're looking to consolidate your motorsports software solutions, reach out to us at alphatiming.co.uk.
Gee, looks like we're missing the engine. What the hell am I supposed to tag?
What do you mean? It's my Greyhound. It's all I need.
Where's the rest of it?
It doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
You gotta make way. Okay, you're good.
I'm sitting by here with Kyle, our race winner. Tell me how you did it. You were blazing fast out there, and I mean, you don't even have a go-kart, man. Tell me about it.
Yeah, you know, Norberg, Schmorberg, the Greyhound-powered Greyhound was great today. You know, it makes the difference. And the team's been working really hard back at the shop, and, you know, just shout out Greyhound.
Thank you, Kyle.
How the f did you just win?
Doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
Cool features that
Yeah. Well, obviously.
Welcome back, everyone, to beautiful Jacksonville, Florida for today's coverage of Apex Karting and its Southeast Championship. Justin Prince alongside me is Taylor Boris as we get all prepared for our qualifying sessions as these drivers look to see where they will start. For our KA side of the program, it's the KA Junior, the KA Masters, along with the Micros, KA Seniors, and the Minis that are all a part of this rotation, Taylor. And we've seen earlier on a lot of drafting activity, but of course, when it comes to the IAME engines, things are a little bit different in how they race. You're talking about different horsepower band. You're talking about a lot more power. Things are going to be a lot more different today. And oh, by the way, it's a lot more windier.
Yeah, wind's starting to pick up right now here in the Jacksonville area as it's continuing to start warming up a little bit more as we reach to the peak of the afternoon, getting into the mid to upper 50s before we dive it back down later on with colder temperatures by the end of today's action here for our KA Micros and Minis as we get set for qualifying for our KA Masters here. And it's been a very interesting day so far, as we'll also mention about some of the previous winners from last round over at NOLA in the categories of qualifying.
Yes, indeed, how things shape up today when it comes to Saturday card. Start things off with the juniors on the rundown. Howard Camper Jr. was the one who picked up the win in the final. That put him at 385 points over Parker Ives. Now the major thing will be seen, though, here for that class today, as Camper Jr. did make the trip for this one today. Kemper Jr. is not a part of that, or rather Ives is not a part of that list. However, so there's a chance of a points differential there. Now, compare that to the Masters. That was Shane Burkett in a 4-card field over Brenton Estes. Thomas Sherrick also took part in that with the podium run. Curtis Terry got a disqualification in that race. K.A. Sr. went to Daniel Perez over James Overbeck in a closely fought battle. Levi Getz finished in the top 5, but also top 3 overall scored points. Driver finished 3rd on the podium, had no points for the heat races. Sawyer Roussel is down 260 points in 10th position, going to claw his way forward. Micros went to Spencer Height, while the Minis went to Mason Brody, Ruben Guerrero, Tristan Francisco, and Liam Francisco. But let's talk more in depth about the Masters side, because they're the ones now on the racetrack, starting off their qualifying session as Shane Burkett yet again coming out to play, a part of this entry list with James Insco. Then you have the Cara Alati machines. Brant Estes is also here today, Tim.
Yep, Shane Burkett looking to go 2 for 2 after his exciting win over at NOLA as they come around to kick off the first as well. Brant Estes, and then of course Carapoletti. Both Scott and Kim. I apologize, Burkett did not make it here for this event, as James Insco will also be joining us in this event. So only one returning driver in our KA category from opening round at NOLA.
Well, too, you have Estes also in that conversation. But we'll have to see how things play out for the qualifying session here. Usually the Masters tend to be lone wolves, and when it comes to how they pace themselves, doesn't seem to be the case, though, for a couple of these drivers as they zip ahead. In fact, you see the Carapolettis right now separated by 4/10 to start things up for their session. And go 1.4 off Estes, about 0.8 off to begin things off here today with the separations building up. Now, the interesting thing I want to ask you about here with all this here, Taylor, is in terms of a smaller field, how much weight do you put into qualifying in terms of, as in, how big is the starting position when you have a 4 or 5 card field compared to, say, the 32? Is there as much of a concern about qualifying, or what do you take from a qualifying session to help yourself for the races?
I mean, with this, it's still important for qualifying because there is certain ways to where you can see how you rank up against everyone else in this field. Now, you could want to try to take it easy, maybe not burn up the tires. So if it was me personally out there on the track, I would only maybe run a couple of laps, get a feel, see how I stack up, and maybe save a little bit of those tires for the 2 heat races that you're about to go through today. So something to keep in mind. Of course, mostly we'll see everyone run the entire distance of qualifying throughout today's sessions that we'll see here. As currently right now, it's Scott Carapoletti who has pole position by a significant margin, a little almost half a second between himself and Brant Estes.
Carapoletti, one of the drivers, Scott specifically, with experience at the Supernats. Ran the K100 Master, in fact, a couple times in recent years. Recently finished 25th in 2025 with a Magic Kart, a part of that respective team. Scott does have the speed. We'll have to see how Kim does in terms of matching up with Scott on the benchmark around the racetrack. Kim, for comparison's sake, experienced a lot over the years, including with Supernats last year, 33rd in that same class. Has also raced in a fair amount of series, including back as far as 2000 in the SCUSA Pro Motor Tour. In its first season, a long-time veteran, as there goes the 406 of Scott.
It looked like the cart just got out from underneath him under braking right there, and tough break for Scott Carapoletti. He'll try to rejoin the track, and if I was him, I'd just go ahead and take it behind the wall right now. No need to put any more use on those tires, especially given the fact that he went off track.
Good point to bring up there, especially since you have to consider using the tires over the course of the weekend. Now, less than 2 minutes to work with in session. mentioned one of the drivers in terms of returning, Brent Estes, for today. We've already seen him earlier in the Briggs and Stratton program. His experience at the CKNA Grand Nationals, has had top 10 runs in the past at the national level. So we know Estes does have decent pace here, Taylor. Right now, just less than 2/10 off the pole time, part of the separations.
And I feel like he may have a little bit more here. The only issue is he's got no one in front of him to help him with the draft. He's got basically running by himself. He's got Kim Carapoletti behind, and that's going to be a little interesting to see here as they work their way through across the line. Estes comes across, does not improve. It seems like those tires are starting to fade away a little bit here at the end of this qualifying session.
But that should be expected, right? Because those tires have a band, and we know it's going to be working on essentially ice-cold tire temperatures. Those tires are going to have to be put in overdrive to get into an optimal window in the first place. You almost have to be very aggressive with the pressures because of how cold it is.
It's going to be a key thing here. The colder tires will help keep the tires somewhat okay. But the thing is, you're still out there running on the pavement. Those tires are going to get heated up. You want to try to take care of them as long as you can, as Kim Carapoletti will continue on with her qualifying efforts. I think both it's safe to say that Brandt, Estes, and Scott Carapoletti have taken it behind the wall, along with James Inosco, who is also out back on the pit road. So that just leaves Kim here, who will come around and take the checkered flag.
And with the session here, and slowing on down, goes to 4:36. Scott Carapoletti does indeed hold on the top of the board by 0.196 seconds over Brent Estes, Kim Carapoletti, James Insco. The other drivers in this session, how they line up, and although your points leader for the class was on the original entry sheet, did not come out onto the racetrack. It appears here a part of this qualifying session. So far, things looking potentially like we might see a bit of a scrap here amongst your top three in particular here. James, you close up a little bit of that gap here, Taylor, when we go racing.
Absolutely, Justin. I got to say, those top three will put on an incredible show in our heat races later today. Scott Carapoletti, though, definitely going to be the favorite for the KA.
So that brings us over to the micros up next, where that list had 5 entries coming into today, and Jace Cheney, Maddox Nieves. We've seen him earlier today with Spencer Hyde battling up front, Luca Villegas, and Caden Pridemore are the 5 expected in this field. Those drivers will look to duke it on out during the races later on today. So remember, for Spencer, he basically had just the one card classified for IAME karts in the micros last time out at NOLA. So we'll see how Spencer does here this time out, as he looks to try and keep up what was a 400-point start for his class sake for Apex South.
Well, one thing to keep in mind is he's going to have to deal with his rival that he had to deal with in the Briggs micro division, Maddox Knives, who put on a stellar fight with him this morning. And then, of course, Caden Pridemore also joining him here today, as we'll see a couple of double drivers doing the double here today in today's action. Jace Cheney, looking forward to seeing what he can accomplish, making his debut in the Apex Karting Championship, along with Luca Valdez, who had a pretty decent run in practice.
Yeah, you're talking about the practice times. Let's talk about how things were in the warm-up for reference. Warm-up is warm-up. Nieves did lead the way with the 39.475. Height had 39.8 for reference, though. So there was a bit of a separation. Valdez, or Valdez, you would say, 40 seconds in terms of the lap time. Also going to need to pick up a little bit more if there's going to be a chance there. So those drivers will hit the track in just a couple moments or so as the crews finish up some of that work here, Taylor. And once again, when it comes to this facility, North Florida Kart Club, the host of the action. Of course, one of the older kart clubs when it comes to this country of the United States. Now, a lot of work going into the racing here when it comes to North Florida Kart Club. They have various memberships in terms of what they run. They have the national level, of course. They have a very busy club schedule because a lot of the club seasons don't start in, say, the Midwest, where some of the drivers come from, until all the way until April, May, around that range. They start theirs already last week. You're talking about a busy schedule for their club races that goes year-round here in Florida.
Well, that's one of the things why we love racing here in the state of Florida, is because of just the weather conditions. Same thing in Texas. I mean, if you think about it right now, Justin, 3 of the most popular areas of karting are having a major event happening this weekend, all on kart chasing. You have here in Florida with the Apex Karting Championship. You have the Rotax Winter Trophy over in Houston, and then the Champions of the Future happening over in California. All major staples for winter schedule of racing all across the country. So great to see that happening here. And you know, when it comes to racing at the North Florida Kart Club, I mean, growing up in Florida, didn't really get the chance to come to this track a whole lot, but it is one of the oldest circuits as far as racing with karting. Since 1967, we have seen kart racing action happening here for Florida Kart Club.
Yeah, you talk about the history here, because when it comes to this track, the facility basically, as a city park, allows anyone come to the track. As long as there's an event not scheduled, you can come here, run from 8 a.m. to dusk, essentially by ordinance. The track, of course, is for go-karts. Just go-karts is the primary to be able to run around here. So many different series come here, including CKA, including, of course, Apex with this series, and many others are part of the rotation. It's become a staple to the winter time. But for Spencer Height, it's off to the top of the board to start things off with the 40.6s. Maddox, meanwhile, in the 41.3s, trying to get up to speed. 4 minutes to go in qualifying, and Height appears to be preparing to be well on their own here. Now, as we continue to shuffle our way through here, Taylor, my question is going to be if you're a part of these drivers here. Again, and how do you approach things during the race itself? Because we've seen how wild so far micros and minis were with the Briggs engine. How wild do you think things get with this engine package today?
Well, with drivers like Spencer Height and, of course, Neves in the mix, it's going to probably get a little bit exciting. I mean, these cars still utilize a little bit of utilizing the draft. It's not going to be as potent as what we saw with the Briggs category this morning, but it's still going to be one to watch and see if you have two drivers that are going to be close together, trying to separate themselves, as we now have a change for the pole position. Maddox Knives goes to the top with a 39.8. Spencer Height has to respond here pretty quickly, as he's got quite a bit of work to do to make up 2/10 this time by.
You know, Spencer Height has the speed in a Briggs and Stratton motor. Can he carry his KA style motor on forward? No improvement this time. Was about a few 100s off his personal best. Moinas, by the way, staying in the 40.6s, set their personal best. 0.3 off Jace Cheney up on the board. We'll be talking about Jace Cheney, talking about some of the other drivers that are part of this field to give them some attention here. Cheney, part of the competitors that actually races a little bit on the dirt side. That pops up if you look up to the namesake. Runs a little bit in terms of some dirt modifies on top of having some experience at tracks like Trackhouse on the social media. So one of those drivers really trying to improve upon their skill sets here. And have a diverse skill set too.
That's one one of the great things with karting is that we see with these young kids is they try to branch out into other styles of racing to be, able to run in any style of racing. It's important. That's why we love to see these young superstars trying it out in many different categories of racing. I mean, we'll see these kids not only maybe racing here on the sprint tracks, but also eventually racing over on the dirt oval side, learning the importance of how to race with kart control on that side, because I will say when it comes to racing in the state of Florida, besides the Carolinas, it's one of the biggest popular areas for dirt kart racing action here in the state, especially right here on the Florida-Georgia line.
Yeah, you're talking, at least on the map side, a couple miles away from the state border? So it can be pretty quick out of the state, correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh yeah, right here it's not that far. It's pretty much a hop, skip, and a jump from the Georgia state line. I mean, and there's some, not only Atlanta Motorsports Park, but some other great facilities as well to hone your skills on the dirt karting side as well as we watch the action here with the final seconds. Knives still holding on to the pole position by just over a tenth of a second from Spencer Height with a 39.467. Just as I say that, Spencer Height now has to kick it into overdrive with one final push. He's 3/10 behind.
See a little bit of sparring actually at the end of the qualifying session. Some of the drivers starting to battle a touch. Checker flag waves this time through. Who will get the pole? Maddox right now with the 39.4. Last time through, Spencer Height did not improve in our 42nd time. Spencer Height's average seems to be in the 42nd bracket. But Maddox put together a strong effort. Stay in the 39.4s to close. Keep the pole by 3/10 Taylor.
Well, I gotta say, Spencer Height has a little bit of work to do, and he will have some competition, especially going head-to-head with Maddox Knives here in your micro division.
So let's see the results again. Maddox over Height. There's Jenny Pridemore. Let's take a break. You're watching Kart Chaser. We hope you're enjoying our coverage of qualifying for Apex.
Features that Race Studio 3 has that people normally don't know about it. The track map on the background. So if you just connect your computer to the internet, you can come up here and click on this Google Earth icon, and it will pull the background from the Google Earth into your GPS data.
If you want to learn more about data analysis, you can sign up on my website right now. Enjoy the online course today.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Kart Zone is officially open. We're America's first true karting dealership, built by racers for racers. From your first chassis to managing a full team, our experts guide you every step of the way. At Kart Zone, you'll find top-tier products from your most trusted brands. We believe in performance without compromise. Your karting journey starts here. Visit kartzonena.com.
Cool features that Race Studio 3 has that people normally don't know about it. If you look on the bottom left, I have the weather showing my ambient temperature, pressure, humidity, and even the wind direction and wind speed. To be able to get this, you gotta create an account on the AIM website and just log in. If you log in and have internet on, it will pull the weather from the previous year of sessions that you have.
If you want to learn more about data analysis, you can sign up on my website right now. Enjoy the online course today.
Garrett. Garrett.
Let's go race.
Come on, man.
So it's Perez, followed by Wheeler, McKeithen, Rizal, Lewis. And of course, followed by Getz, Thompson, Cassie, along with Liver in the top 10 here today. Those drivers separated within about 0.6 of a second, by the way. So much of the field pretty on top of each other on the pace today. Wouldn't be surprised to see the pack pretty well struck together, at least for the first part of these 7 minutes plus 2 lap races later on today. And a reminder for these drivers, for this field, Taylor, you're talking about these competitors going behind the paywall just a little bit. Subscribe to Kart Chaser as a KC Premium member for $9.99 a month. You can catch karting from all across the nation, including here and with all of the races going on, with the triple header going on today. Kart Chaser's crew kept very busy across the nation.
Absolutely. You can catch racing here in the state of Florida this weekend. Also in the state of Texas at the New Caney at the Houston Speed Sports Motorsports Park, and also at the K1 circuit outside of Winchester, California. And then, of course, we got some more racing action happening in the month of February, as we also have rounds 3 and 4 of the SCUSA Winter Series happening also at the Speed Sports Racing Park, happening in a couple of weeks' time.
Here we do, and that's going to be interesting for the top competitors as they get things tuned up and ready for the full SCUSA season as well. And of course, don't forget Stars. Of course, connection with Apex and Stars pretty significant there, and we expect a big-time Stars season in 2026. So right now, the current weight is for our next group, which is going to be the Minis, by the way. Now let's feature a lot of the drivers we just seen in the Minis earlier today running double duty, like Liam Ford, like Ryan Hall, and Greer, Bo Stowers. You also have Hank Lai, also going to be in that group of Parker Firestein. But you also throw in the mix Andrew Anastasio and Nazar Martinenko, who will be making the runs today. 8 are entered in the class. Keep in mind, Ruben Greer is the highest out of the drivers here in attendance today. In the point standings, was only back by 12 to Mason Brody to start the season. Greer, second step of the podium in Louisiana, Taylor, as they hit the track.
Absolutely, as we get ourselves ready to go racing here, and qualifying now underway, set for our competitors as they work their way through for the Mini Swift category, and drivers now just getting those tires up to temperature once again, and a good little group of drivers making their way onto the back straightaway.
Yes, indeed, as you can hear in the background for those watching on the broadcast side, some of the kids having a lot of fun around this park, by the way, as they try and enjoy themselves here on this very cool day. Stay bundled up, folks. Expect to be in the 40s tomorrow. Gonna be Canadian weather, you can pretty much say, so to speak. Everything but the snow on the ground. But 5 karts so far have taken the timing beacon. Stowers right now getting some pull from in front. Looks like they're going to try and spread out here, at least in 2 kart tangos for the most part, Taylor. Try and utilize a bit of draft, push ahead, and then swap draft with some speed down the straightaway, take the momentum somewhere.
Absolutely, as we keep an eye on the competition here and see who will set the fast opening lap here amongst our competitors. As they do so, across the line they will go. And Bo Stowers looking to try to take on the chance of leading us to the green flag, as he will lead the charge with help from Ruben Greer.
All of them trying to choo-choo train around here in the early going. Stowers the fastest, as you would expect with the move previously made. We'll find out who will end up at the top of the board by the very end. Looking right now in particular, let lie. Not able to get the slipstream back to be able to make the swap like we've seen previous here. And of course, Hank was in a great spot in the first race, but had issues in the second after an off-track situation. Was one of the drivers that kept busy, of course, with Daytona last month over the course of the break, but is also one of the drivers that's appeared here in the past in club scene racing and picked up hardware here in the past, being able to step on the podium. Now one of those drivers with some local connections here, as he's been karting all the way since 2021 in that blue front clip.
A couple of drivers making some improvements with their lap times as Bo Stowers continues to set the pace here. We'll give a shot. Ruben Greer, though, dropping significantly behind after lining up right behind him right here on the back straightaway as they work their way here on through. Hank Laya, though, picking up some significant time last time by, about 3/10 behind your race leader, or your pole sitter right now of Bo Stowers with 2.5 minutes to go.
I know some of the fans watching along are wondering, are we going to get snow flurries here? How often do you see snow flurries in Florida? I know it's off topic, but that would be a weather factor. I know there was chances of snow as high as Miami was hearing during the week.
Well, I know up in parts of the Panhandle, so not here in Jacksonville, but a little bit further west, they got some significant snow, I would say, at one point. And it's not uncommon to get snow here in the state of Florida. Growing up in this area, a little bit in the central part of Florida, we had some snow flurries at one point or another, especially in the Daytona Beach area. So it's not uncommon here in North Florida that we could see that. But thankfully, with how the weather's showing, it's not expected to be snowing here this weekend in Jacksonville.
It is in Tallahassee, but not in Jacksonville. For clarification, we just got our ears. So, of course, map tellers will say Jacksonville is not Tallahassee. Hashtag Jacksonville is not Tallahassee. Now, anyway, less than 90 seconds to work with here in this, and Stowers, his time has been untouchable so far. Taylor started things off with a bang into the 38.1s. The closest anyone's getting is himself in the 38.2s. Everybody else is averaging around 2/10 off their fastest time here.
Yeah, everyone's starting to fall off the pace. It's going to be a tough break. See if they can find a way to boost it up a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see here. If I was some of these drivers a little further back, maybe try to see if you can pump it up a little bit, but if not, go ahead, pull it down pit road, save your tires as best you can.
I don't know if anyone's going to pull it down here, but you may as well see what you have in terms of length, because here's the thing. Thinking about the lap count, and I kind of referred to this the last session here, Taylor. These drivers, with the speed they're running, especially in the senior categories, you're looking at potentially 2-3 laps, maybe longer of a race, because you're talking that much quicker of a pace, possibly, than you're pushing with the 7 minutes. So there's a strong chance that you're increasing the amount of wear and tear in general once you go racing, and you're going to have to put in your kart over the course of the heat races. It really depends how the heats go, obviously. But there is a chance for it going a little bit longer, since these qualifying runs are longer than you would normally see for the lap counter itself for any other track.
Absolutely. So one thing to keep in mind as well of how to manage your equipment, since you're going to be going a little longer, take care of that equipment as you wind those clocks down until you hit the checker flag. So we'll see how it plays out for them, but the checker flag has fallen here in qualifying. Everyone except for Bo Stowers and Hank Laya have yet to make their final attempt in qualifying as they come across the line. Nope, they will take it behind the paddock, so they are not going to continue on in front of their final lap.
Stowers does hold on for the pole, in second, then Anastasio in third spot. Greer only gets to fourth, and Hall in the top 5 with Marty Nenko in the 6th position out of the 6 drivers in this field. So 4 of the 5 qualifying sessions are complete here on Kart Chaser, just like that. That will leave us with just K.A. Jr. left to go. A lot of heavy hitters in that field that are running double duty. Tyrone Kemper Jr., like Oliver Nyberg, and Jeff Price again. A lot good drivers, Kai Mars again. All those drivers just looking to try and continue momentum from earlier or from last time out here. Kemper Jr. got to put a star next to because, of course, as the points leader, you have to be able to keep on scoring good runs, and this is going to be a different track, obviously, than his home circuit, where he had that home track advantage in the battles with Ives in particular.
We'll see how this all plays out when they head out onto the circuit. Over to see how they were in warm-up. Cameron Johnson set a decent pace right there, along with Brandon Soraki, Sean Portnoy, also some of the heavy hitters. Of course, Kemper Jr. and Jet Price did not start in the opening warm-up, so we'll see them make their first attempt here in qualifying if they choose to do so. Curious to see about how Kai Mars will do as well, as he's also running in the KA Junior category.
And the funny thing is, some drivers during the week, as some may know in the paddock here today, did reach out to drivers, and some drivers reached out to us during the week. You have some that bring the full biography to give details on the background, make sure you know what's going on, make sure the championships that may not pop up in a background search or a Google or anything along those lines or social media. And then you have Sean Portnoy, who is in this field where he kept it simple. He just wants to be a 3D printing engineer. Some people like to give the full novel, some like to give straight to the point what they want to be in the future. The reason I mentioned he's in this race, Taylor. So, as they go around here for the start of this session, break down the point standings once again for this class. Kemper Jr. had 385 points exiting NOLA. Parker Ives, of course, related to the NASCAR Ives family when it comes to Hendrick Motorsports. They ended up with 374 points after winning 2 of the 4 races like Kemper Jr. did, albeit with one of them being a 100-pointer for the pre-final. Then Cameron Johnson exited NOLA in the top 3 with 347 points, with 2 third-place runs, including in the final. Colton Sneakenberg had also taken part in that one. Nyberg had been a top 5 kart at the track in Louisiana. Field's coming out for their qualifying session, and a lot of drivers trying to warm up their tires pretty quickly here. Some of them slipping and sliding as they make their way to the bowl section. And a few of them partnered up with various team members here. There they go. It's the Swerve, the snake to warm up the tires.
Doing everything to get that last little bit of extra heat built up in their machines, as two top carts will lead us here to the green flag in qualifying for your KA Junior category. Across the line they will go. It's going to be Bowen Green and Kai Mars that will lead us here, along with the rest of the field. Portnoy finally comes across the line. Dean Saunders, also Graham Ellislick, Siva Kumar, and Jesse Frazier, the last ones to come across the line. 11 carts so far scheduled in this, as now the last little bit of drivers cross the line for qualifying in your KA Junior.
It's going to be a pretty decent spread here amongst the 14 drivers. I'm going to be the back of them, but the front of the field. See how things play out as Kai Mars a part of them. Gil Eslick also in this field. You have Bowen Green, you have Portnoy as talked about, and Jet Price, Jesse Frazier, Harrison Burklow, Tiva Kumar also running double duty. Calvin Barfield, Dean Saunders, Arthur Petyan, along with Saraki in the field, also joined in by Cameron Johnson, who is a part of those here today. So a lot of strong competitors. They zoom their way through here today. I know a shout out once again for Saraki, by the way. Did get a mention from one of the team bosses for Franklin Motorsports. A 2-car effort for Saraki and Johnson here. They actually have a vendor's trailer here at the facility. All the fast qualifiers were given $25 credits in the 2 and 4 stroke classes. That was announced earlier on this morning. And Johnson just so happens to be one of the fastest karts on the racetrack in P2 behind Portnov in the early going.
How about also Oliver Nybert right there in third spot? He's just about 0.2 of a second behind, and just as I say that, Kai Mars goes to the top of the leaderboard with a 36.530. Anyone else respond here as we got to wait for a couple of more cars? Jesse Frazier moves up to 6th position. It's going to be Mars, Green, and Portnov, your top 3.
As they go here, a lot of these drivers know track position, everything. On Green, 3 1,000ths off the pole time last time through. The 804 car up towards the front, does jump to the top of the board. So Green, who is the lead card out of the two working together, continued to work well. He was previously a driver that did take a micro Swift to the Super Nats a long time ago, 2022, in a Timmy Tech kart, and ended up finishing in the top 15 nationally in that said kart. He's also picked up wins at Daytona. Looking at some of the others here as they go. Less than halfway to the qualifying session. Coordination obviously expected if you have the front two with teammates, but the others not so coordinated because you don't have as many partners potentially.
That's one of the dangers here is if you don't have that right dance partner or any dance partner, you're going to be struggling to see what you could set for your qualifying effort here. Even though these KA cars got a little more oomph to them, a little bit more than the Briggs that we saw earlier, that draft will still be a vital thing to help with setting the pace in qualifying as Oliver Nybert goes to the top with a 36.03. He's also got Brandon Soraki right there behind him. Those two working phenomenally together to have about a 1/10 of a second advantage.
Just so happens he was in that pack, believe it or not. One of the drivers that originally started off through Atlanta Motorsports Park, Nybert ran for a few years now at that racetrack. Be able to gain experience, has also done well in several national races. No, he was alluding to potential possibilities for the future. Also competed in IAME USA East competition, was a podium runner during the fall time in that kart. 1 minute to work with, and I think drivers are starting to plateau yet again because Green and Mars are 4/10 off. They started hot, Taylor, but just couldn't get the hot laps to continue up to the streak that we've seen in the other pack.
Yeah, and I think it might be too little too late. It depends on where they come out as they cross the line, which I think right now it's safe to say they have one more shot to make it work. Here we see the driver of Kai Mars and company coming up out of the final corner. Can they find a way to dethrone Nybert and Johnson across the line? No, Kai Mars does improve along with Eslick and Owen Green, but not enough to get pole position.
Couple seconds left to work with. Here is Nybert's group. See if they're able to set the benchmark a little higher or if the benchmark gets changed. Well, Soraki does jump to second. And Cameron Johnson 2 and 3 as teammates. Going to have great starting position because the checker flag waves everyone else. Now try to see if they can get at least to the 7s. Doesn't look like that's going to change for Mars, for Green, for Eslick. Unsel's trailing on back, believe in the pink machine also. We'll see if there's any other changes here, but it looks like if you're a fan of the 856, you're in luck. You get the pole time by 18 1,000ths. As long as nothing changes, nothing will change. They're coming to pit road as the KA Juniors close out qualifying. Nybert over Soraki and Johnson, Mars, Eslick, Green, Portnov, Burklow. Again, and Frazier amongst the top 10 here today. Saunders, Barfield, Price, and Tima Kumar up the tail. But on that note, it's time to switch things over. Be sure to subscribe to be a KC Premium member today because you get to watch the racing with the heats coming up. Only $9.99 a month. see racing from all across the country. We'll get behind that paywall in just a moment. Stick around. You're watching Kart Chaser for coverage of Apex, Karting, and the Southeast Championship.